From Oscar Steakhouse, inside the Plaza Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas, you're on the corner of Main Street. Welcome to the only podcast produced by and recorded in a Las Vegas hotel casino. From gaming to dining to entertainment to sports to Vegas history, this is the place to be for the inside scoop, because this is the place to be downtown. Now, here's Plaza CEO Jonathan Jossel.
Hello, everybody. Good to be back. Hey, Gary.
Hello, Mr. Plaza. How are you?
Mr. Plaza, that's right. We are Mr. Plaza. It's good to be here. I was just doing an interview with someone, and they said, why do you do this podcast? And this is, we've done over 100 episodes today. Very excited for our guests that we'll talk about in a second. But I wanted to share a letter I got from Michael Hitchcomb. Shout out to you. A listener of the podcast from the early days, and found out that I was a New Orleans Saints fan, and has sent me a challenge coin, sticker, and membership card for the local fan group here in New Orleans called the Big Easy Mafia.
Really?
That's why I do the podcast, because the fans are amazing. We love the people that we get to engage with. And this means the world when you get to hear from people that appreciate what you're doing and the content you're putting out there. That's why we do it. So it's pretty cool. I know you're not a Saints fan, Gary. If anyone is an Eagles fan, please send Gary something.
I do get things from guests from time to time regarding
Eagles related.
But,
okay.
Yeah.
But today is all about entertainment. We got so many things to talk about that are happening in Las Vegas in the world of entertainment. Primarily, the biggest story by far is the fact that U2 performed in front of the Plaza in a pop-up concert, which is why we want to get into that. But to do this conversation, there's so many things, from Usher being appointed the halftime entertainment, the Sphere's opening this weekend, Life is Beautiful. I could go on and on and on. We invited Mr. Entertainment, John Katz, to join us.
Hello.
On the podcast.
Good to be back at Oscar's Steakhouse.
Good to be with you. Oh, of course, John just put out Mobbed Up podcast.
Mobbed Up.
Check it out.
Season 3. Episode 2 is up now about the aunt, Tony Spilatro, which is darned good.
I have to tell you, Oscar doesn't get excited about much. He was really excited about that second episode.
That episode, yeah, that was really...
He said it's a game changer.
It's I don't know what else to say. It's astonishing.
If you're listening, go listen to Mobbed Up. But also what we could maybe do, Rich, is put up Mobbed Up as part of that second episode Oscar's so proud of. He wanted us to advertise on the website somehow and do more stuff with it. Maybe there's a way we can release it as one of the On the Corner episodes.
And we can ask John Katsolimetes, where would I find Mobbed Up?
At the Review Journal website and all podcast platforms, and we recorded it all here at
which is
Steakhouse.
Funny because Oscar attacks Review Journal every single time he
time I know.
But yet he's done a podcast with Review Journal, so Oscar, I don't know about this.
It was the brilliance of this whole thing was the fact that we were able to get him to do it.
Right. Does he know it's with the Review Journal?
He does now.
Years ago, when we started doing this podcast, I asked Oscar, hey, we should do a podcast with you and all your stories. He says, great. How do I get paid? That was the end of that conversation.
Yeah. For our guests who are not locals, I think everybody that listens to our podcast is going to know exactly who you are, John. But for our guests that don't live in Las Vegas, what do you do? Because we have you as a UNLV Hall of Famer, you've worked everywhere for all the different publications as a columnist. So give us a little bit of your backstory.
Today I'm the definition is man about town columnist, daily columnist in the Review Journal. I'm on page 3A every day and online all the time.
In England, page 3 is a topless girl on the Sun.
Okay.
For the Sun.
I'll say it's that way.
For the Review Journal, it's the entertainment. Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know if
it's
they
the
still do that on
flip page.
3. That's
That's what it is here. The flip it over on the upper fold of the 3A. I write constantly, and it's a canvassing of the entertainment scene primarily in Las Vegas and other areas, other newsmakers. But that's it. Yeah.
And how did you get into that position?
The short story is I was in Greenspun Media Group. I was writing for a number of platforms, and they decided to consolidate everything I was doing in magazines and online and occasional column writing into one portal, into one area. They called it the Katz Report. They said, Katz, just go there and use that as the distribution platform for everything you do. And that's because they saw what I was doing, and it was pretty, even back then, this was in 2009, pretty incredible. So I did that. and in February 2009, we started the Cats Report, and it just, it took off, and that's really what I've been doing pretty much full time with some other responsibilities ever since then. And in 2016, RJ offered me a position to take over the 3A position that had been held by Norm Clark, my buddy Norm, and who's still my buddy. And we made that change, and I was just honored as the top local column in the state of Nevada this past week.
Congratulations!
Very honored to do that because I have an incredible team at the Review Journal of Editors and colleagues, and we swept that category. So anyway, there you have it.
Yeah. So how did you guys first meet?
Oh God, we've known each other for ages. I mean, we both lived downtown for the longest time. You still live downtown in the high rise. I was down there, but just through different events, I'm sure.
It had to be here.
Probably this.
It had to be at the
Plaza.
hotel.
Yeah, all the various shows we've had you over the years, you've always been a big help with and a big.
That's an interesting question. I can't remember the actual moment when I was introduced to you because it seems like I've not. I've known you throughout.
So long. Yeah, it's been 16 years. I guess the better question is, how are you not exhausted?
I am exhausted.
You go to these shows every single night. You had a different event, a different opening, a different musical concert. I would just burn out. How do you do it?
It's difficult to keep yourself balanced in this position. That's why nobody does this. There was a guy out recently who was writing a story about Las Vegas, writing a book about Las Vegas, who spent time with me. He spent a day with me.
Billy Walters?
No.
Okay.
That would have been a heck of a thing. And he spent some time with me and saw how I worked. It happened to be on a Sunday, which was a really busy work day. And he came back to me, and he had written a chapter, and he was doing some fact checking. He goes, "I can tell you verifiably, there's nobody else in the world who does what you do," because he's writing about all these different individuals. And this is specific to Las Vegas. He goes, "There's nobody else who does what you do. Nobody else would even try it." And that was kind of an eye opener. And I'm like, that's not necessarily a healthy situation, but it's difficult to keep balance. And the only way I'm really able to do this is because I take pretty good care of myself. I don't drink or smoke,
fizzy water.
I'm pretty much on the money with that.
You got your fizzy water now in front
fizzy
of
water,
you?
Perrier.
Sometimes we do this with cocktails. We're doing it with fizzy water.
Oscar and I did it with cocktails. Yeah,
Well, was yours a mocktail?
it was this Perrier.
That's your That's your cocktail.
Yeah, and Oscar had the cocktail go. Anyway, the martini going. But anyway, it is challenging, and it's driven by the city. The velocity of the city makes this go.
Every big newspaper, or at least most big newspapers in every big city going back to the 30s, had a man about town. Walter Winchell being the first one, and people like
Very
that.
good example.
Emmett Watson in Seattle, Herb Cain in San Francisco.
Grew up reading him.
And you're like the last one in the whole country.
I grew up reading Herb Cain. I grew up in Chico, California, which is north of San Francisco, and we took the Chronicle even up there. And I'd go to Herb Cain, and what I was really trying to establish with the Cats Report and everything we're doing now is Herb Cain was able to, and Walter Winchell and these others, Mike Royko's another one, they were able to be an example of their surroundings, of their environment. They were walking representations and ambassadors for their cities. So Herb Cain called San Francisco Baghdad by the Bay, and he was hitting you with he called it 3-dot journalism, hitting notes about the city. And I thought, if I can achieve that, not in that way, but in a multimedia way, that's what I was really after.
Okay.
And I think that in some level I represent the city. How it is, how it can be fast, how you move quickly. There's a lot of energy and a lot of news happening all the time. And every day something happens that is unexpected in the city.
So you've been doing this how many years?
I've been doing the column since February of 2009, but I started my career in 1984. I was 18 years old.
Would you be able to highlight in those 30 years, or almost 40 years, a moment of like, wow? Because the answer would be last Saturday, but let's do it. I'm trying to tie this together here.
Sir, that was one of them. And I will say, not just because it's recent, of all time. I knew it when we were in it, the U2 thing right here at the Plaza. Yeah. I will say there were some experiences where some interviews that I've done. I interviewed Roy Horn for the first real sit-down published print interview after he was carried off stage at the Mirage. It was 2 years later, and that was the first time he'd really been interviewed at length. That was pretty incredible. Spending time with Jerry Lewis at his last telethon was pretty remarkable. One that stands out that I was reminded of recently was I interviewed George Martin and Giles Martin together. Yeah. Giles Martin is George Martin, the Beatles producer's son. Yeah. And we were doing a listen back at the Love Studios for the new soundscape for the Love show. And Giles happened to be in for that. And George was in town for that, too, because it was on the 6th anniversary. They had not been interviewed together. And I was in there, and we did this interview and played off both of them. And the next time I saw Giles Martin, it was after his father had died. And he says, I still have that that article on my refrigerator. It's under a magnet. And he goes, it's the only one. And I'm like, wow. And it wasn't because it was especially well executed. All I did was transcribe, what they were telling me.
You just got to be.
But that's center of the universe. Yeah, that's center of the universe stuff. Those are ones that really are remarkable to me. Yeah.
So John, when did you first hear about the happenings of U2 in downtown? I got everything happened really quickly.
Yeah, it was pretty fast. I got I'll tell you, I got a pretty clear idea that something was happening in my backyard the night before. There was some energy coming around here, and by midday the next day, I was like, okay, this is real. This is not some tribute band,
right?
This is a real thing, and
for those that weren't here, you were here that night, living it. Tell the people what happened. What was the experience?
Well, we were aware that U2 was going to be. The shorthand version was they were going to do kind of like the sequel to I Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For,
right?
The 1987 video down
which they
here
did on Fremont Street.
Pre-Canopy Fremont Street, iconic video with the handheld camcorders at the time, and
pretty unbelievable.
Finding the 99-cent shrimp cocktail and all that. So it was going to be that type of experience, and they were different positions down here. The first platform where I saw them, where I caught up with them, was behind the 3rd Street stage, which I'm very familiar with as the platform for the free concert series, Downtown Rocks concert series. That's the back side of it. It's also the landing area for the Great Santa Run, where I know that area really well, where they put all the Santas. So, or all the people who were performing for thousands of Santas. So, anyway, I saw them there, and they were doing a rehearsal of the flatbed truck, and it was moving up and down 3rd Street, and I saw them then. And when I saw them, I was standing on the corner, and I thought, holy hell. I was just watching that truck and doing video, and I go, this is actually happening. I was really trying to capture mentally the color of that moment of them coming back, and I couldn't quite make out what song they were miming it, syncing to it. I couldn't make it out, but that was the first time I saw it. And then there was another spot down by Casino Center where we're trying to, get a shot of them, get a sight line, and then. But earlier here at the Plaza, before that thing at the 3rd Street, I was out at the Carousel Bar because I understood they were going to be playing at the Carousel, either facing it or with their backs to it. I wasn't sure how it was going to be, but that was going to be the pin on the map. So I went around, and then I managed to come back here in time. And Jonathan's team made sure that I was okay to move, somewhat freely around and get myself set in a safe position, which I did. And I got, it's like a coin flip sometimes. I'm either facing toward the canopy or facing toward the carousel. I'm like, which way would I be looking if I needed to see this band? And it turned out to be they were going to play with the carousel to their backs.
That's the backdrop.
With the stage in front of them, wheeling in. And when they showed up, man, I'm still getting chills. When they showed up playing Atomic City, the new single about Las Vegas, I went, wow, this was worth it. I mean, big time. It was a lot of walking. It was 3 hours of it, just doing it. Had a young photographer with me who had never experienced anything quite like this. And they played. Then they proceeded to play the song, a repetition of Atomic City.
They did it 4 times.
Yeah.
And then I had a live. I was out of town, unfortunately, but I had a live stream set up for me, so I was watching it, which was pretty cool. And they did that 4 times, and then they did still haven't found what I'm looking for, which was like, what is it called? Like a cappella without the background music?
It was probably more like unplugged.
Yeah, unplugged,
Edge was playing.
You're right.
But not quite a cappella. But it was close to it.
It was
They
close.
he said it was going to be like a country version of it.
And he said, and he played, and he did greet the Plaza. He said, "Hello, Mr. Plaza," which we'll do an audio clip from. Thank you for sharing that with us. But the fact that this story was covered by Billboard magazine, Variety, USA Today, Forbes, Rolling Stone. I mean, this was one of the biggest stories in downtown in many, many years. And you know, we've had The Weeknd here, we've had The Killers here, we've had The Hangover, we've had so many music videos and movie shoots here. I can't think of a bigger one than this. And it wasn't just a movie shoot, it was a mini concert.
Yeah.
Here they are standing for a free a pop-up concert, truly. I mean, people just started texting me, how the hell did this happen? Why didn't you invite me? How did you get this? Why is this here? And
I can only imagine what you were going through.
And the crazy thing was, you know, we didn't understand the scale of what was coming, but we had an idea about it. It happened in 48 hours. I mean, the whole thing came together in 48 hours. We did not know about it. We agreed we couldn't promote it.
Right.
The whole thing happened in 48 hours.
So
from start
you
to
found out about it on Thursday, I guess.
So-
Their management
so-
team reached out to the Plaza.
Yeah, so on Tuesday, we got a call that they wanted to do a photo shoot. So to me, that just sounded like, you know, we get a lot of inquiries for photo shoots. We've had Tiesto do photo shoots down here for a new album. We've had big magazines, big fashion companies have used us for photo shoots. But, you know, so that's not that big of a deal. It's cool that you two want to do a photo shoot. But then on Wednesday, we got a call with more requests for more information, which sounded like, okay, this is bigger. And then Fremont Street called and said they had heard that U2 wants to film downtown, and they've fallen in love with the Carousel Bar and the lights, which everyone falls in love with the lights. I mean,
Yeah.
it's easy to fall in love with. And they heard it was going to be a music video and a pop-up concert. Then I got interested. Now I got excited. And that was Wednesday afternoon. We had the dinner series. I was with John Katz that night. And I started planting some seeds in the mayor's mind, because the biggest issue was street closures, metro, figuring out the logistics of putting on a pop-up concert for the biggest band in the world. Are they the biggest band in the world?
Yeah, you definitely make that argument over time.
I mean, at this-
like a legacy band,
Yeah.
Yeah,
If you
and
look
still
now-
recording music.
Yeah, if you look now,
the
who's
Stones aren't
band in
recording
the
new
world?
things.
Yeah.
The biggest, you could say, what are the biggest acts currently? You do
Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift,
Yeah.
is
Can't be Taylor
As
Swift.
the heavyweight champ at the moment.
Yeah.
But over time, U2 as a rock band, they're the model of a contemporary rock band for sure.
As bands go, I can't think of a big. Anyway,
Yeah.
one of the top 3 biggest bands in the world wants to do a free pop-up concert as a surprise. There's logistics to go into that, from security, street closures, sound, AV. So we started trying to put that all together, and then by Thursday we were getting clear information what it was going to be. But that was 24 hours to 48 hours before the performance. There was a lot of logistics that went into it, and for me, the big thing was the validation of just how cool downtown is. I mean, that these guys want to come downtown. They could have done that video anywhere in the world, anywhere in Vegas, and they chose on the corner of Main Street right here to be the backdrop. And I did hear afterwards that they had other locations in mind. They actually subsequently didn't use or canceled because they got everything they needed from this.
Really?
So as this podcast is coming out, tomorrow is supposed to be the release of this video. So we'll see just how good the location was. Because it's supposed to come out on the 29th is what I was told.
Yeah, that's right. It's on the U2 official, the official YouTube channel. I've heard that's where it's going to.
On the 29th? Oh, I can't wait.
But it's a great song. And it's about Las Vegas.
I like the song.
Yeah, I do
the
too.
song. And if you want to hear something really funny, and this is a total coincidence, on the 28th we have a U2 tribute band playing at the Sand Dollar. By
Really?
coincidence. It was
No
booked, It was booked a couple of weeks ago. And so we have a U2 tribute band on the 28th, and then on the 29th they debut this video and their live performance at the Sphere. But in terms of content and in terms of having memories and people experiencing something, it's going to be tough to ever top that. With that band rocking up on Main Street with the flatbed truck and just rocking out for 4 songs. We were told different stories. We were told, firstly, 9 p.m. They only started around midnight.
Yeah.
We were told they might do 7 songs. We weren't sure if it was going to be the same song 7 times. We didn't know what they were exactly logistically they were planning. We were also told they were going to be rehearsing on the flatbed truck on our property. They were doing that on 3rd Street where you found them. So there was a lot of moving parts to this.
Yeah, I know. We were in live conversation about exactly, because I was like, a little pin walking around the downtown area. That tribute band, man, if they're worth their salt, they'd learn Atomic City somehow to play it that night, even before it's released. There's enough of it out there on video now. They could learn it.
I'm gonna see if we can talk to them about doing
See if they can do that, man. Yeah. That would be unreal if they could get that out and play it live here before the song's actually formally released.
But that was a special night in the history of the Plaza. For all of us, for our hard work. Some people thought the Carousel and Pink Box and those things weren't going to be classic Vegas. They were going to ruin that historic site. Just the opposite. I mean, if these images that we see now are anything like if the video is anything like these images that we're seeing now, you're going to have the coolest backdrop in the history of a music video. I mean, this
place got a lot of love too. And the Oscars logo is it's in the backdrop of all of my stuff.
Oscars patio. Yeah.
Patio.
And it all depends which angles you were looking at it from. But for people for validation of what we're doing here at the Plaza and for downtown as a whole, it's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. It's exciting to see that people love it as much as we love it.
And I agree with you 100%. They could have run that truck up the strip. Yeah. They could have done in a lot of other places. Yeah. And I think they made the right call. This is where the whole city started, right where we are right now.
This is one Main Street. One Main Street. This is where it all began. I still tell people that. Mm-hmm. But it's cool, and it's happening.
I agree.
And now Carousel Bar will be immortalized.
Exactly.
Forever. It's only a few months old, and it's going to be iconic.
I probably think it's a movie set.
Right.
So speaking of you two, are you going to be at the Sphere on Friday night?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And what are your thoughts? Have you been in there? Have you toured it?
I have not. I'm supposed to go in on, I just learned I'm going to go in on Thursday morning. I've seen the prototype in Burbank, which is the quarter-sized version of the Sphere, which is, I will tell you, I was physically affected by what I saw. I mean, I'm in a fixed position, and they're showing me outtakes of a Postcard from Earth, the theatrical film experience, whatever, that they're going to run in there beginning October 6th. And now we've seen some of the stuff that Darren Aronofsky, the director, has put up on his Instagram page. But there's an elephant that comes at you. There's a shot in Antarctica, and I'm sitting there, and I actually got cold. I actually started shivering in my seat, and they didn't adjust the temperature at all in that room. And I'm like, and then they took us on. There's a roller coaster scene that's not going to be in the movie, but it's an example of Six Flags in Georgia, in Atlanta. And I thought I was going to pitch forward in my seat. It was so powerful. Really? And I'm good on roller coasters. I love them. And after that whole thing, we're in the wilderness in Africa, and after the whole thing was over with, I was almost staggering out of there, and I told those guys, you're going to have some kind of formal warning for people when they come in here, because it's that powerful what they do. The sound is incredible. It's hard to describe exactly what it was, but they were playing Believer by the Imagine Dragons as one of the tests. And they had isolated different instruments in different spots, so you could you come over here and you can hear Wayne Sermon's guitar, and then in the middle you'd hear Dan Reynolds singing, and they had a way of isolating his voice like he was coming toward you. And you're standing there, and the speakers are over here, and he's walking toward you, and he's almost like he's whispering the lyrics into your ear or singing them into your. I've heard this song a million times, and I'm like. I'm flinching, and I'm like, I'm looking around, and I'm like, it's pretty. The tech in this place is pretty incredible. What they're going to have to really focus on is the blocking and tackling, the parking, the getting people in and out, making sure that everybody knows the protocols before they go in. Parking again, it's going to be the big thing with this place, because there's no parking being developed for it.
Well, we took a tour of it. We took a tour of it about a month ago.
Yeah,
and got to see some of the screens in action inside. The things you're describing, they told us about. We didn't see that in effect. But I'm being invited to go on Friday night now, and I once you two did this thing with us, I had to be there for that concert.
Absolutely.
To see that video be launched on live screens. But I think the easy thing for people to do is to knock it and say it's not going to work, it's not going to financially work, and all these things. But give them credit. They're trying something new. They're bringing something big to Vegas. And we wish them well with it, because we want it to be successful for Vegas. If you can bring another 17,500 people, giving them something else to do, helping, like Allegiant Stadium's done on a Monday night when the Raiders are playing. You want it to be successful.
Yeah.
And I think yes, you're right, the blocking and tackling, but they're going to need content for that thing because U2 is just one band, right? What else can you put in there? What else is going to happen in there? And to see that room rocking to Atomic City is going to be interesting.
It's going to be. They've said previously there are going to be at least four total headliners, and we've seen reports about Fish coming in. They can definitely fill it. Who can fill it is what you're after. Harry Styles. Also, and that both those acts have relationships with James Dolan, who runs MSG Entertainment.
Yep.
And one thing, too, that when you look at this, the opening act for U2, Pauly PSM, he's called. He's a DJ, multi-instrumentalist. He was Harry Styles' MD and drummer on his most recent tour.
Oh. Okay.
So this guy they're bringing in is going to use the tech and be part of the U2 show, open for U2 before Styles. Now, that to me is an indication that they're serious about bringing him in because they've got his MD in here.
And he is big
testing
enough.
it.
He is big enough, that's for sure.
Yes. 15 sellouts at Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely big enough.
So we wish it well.
I'm with you.
They are, listen, MSG knows what they're doing. They've been successful in other locations. This is a big undertaking, and sure, it's cost-wise much bigger than anything they've undertaken. But if the content that they create on this thing is that spectacular, it could become a worldwide sensation. I mean, I talk to people in England, and they're like, what is this sphere? What is this thing? People come here, they want to go take a picture of it. They see the emoji on the exterior. It's different. And now they got to figure out, maybe, in order to be successful, it's going to have to get that worldwide attention and publicity of what it can be in terms of new technology. Because if it's just a concert, it probably doesn't work financially.
Well, I've been told many times this is not a tourist stop place. This is not where someone like an Ed Sheeran will come in and do a show and then leave, or do 2 shows and leave. You have to have content that's structured and produced specifically for that technology and the architecture.
Yeah. Did Ed really cancel because of a weak floor? Was there more to that story?
It had to. The way I understand it was,
for anyone that doesn't know, Ed Sheeran canceled his concert on 40 minutes notice.
He has an interlocking sound audio towers. Right, he always plays in the round. Usually it's just him, but he had a band with him, string section, I believe, and the audio towers encircle him in the round, and they kind of lean. Right, and I think there are 5 or 6 of these things, and when one starts to slip off the floor, it affects all of them. It affects the integrity of every one of them. And the way I understood it was there's 2 of them that were not able to stay fixed.
Wow.
Long enough for him to do a show. And this was speaking of late calls, he was over here at a Little White Chapel at 3:30 that day, expecting to play later at Allegiant Stadium, dropping in on a wedding ceremony, doing some social media, Instagram, right?
Yeah.
And he played his new song for this couple. He gave everybody in the wedding party, 8 of them, tickets to that night's show. This is 2 hours before the announcement.
Wow.
And they learned, the couple and their party learned about the cancellation while they were having dinner at the Paris. So, I think that it was an operational concern. I really do.
I'm disappointed because you and I talked about it, but we had Duran come for dinner. We had Zach Bryan come down and play pickleball. Ed Sheeran should have come down here for something, maybe some rodeo events or something. Yeah, he could have come for some pickleball.
Yeah.
Disappointed he didn't come down.
I had that. I wrote that up.
Yeah.
Did I send you that? I wrote about
those guys
Simon
down
Le Bon,
here?
or Zach and Simon Le Bon.
Le Bon, yeah.
It was great.
Well,
so
last weekend we had Life is Beautiful here. You were there Friday night.
I went Friday night.
How was the Killers?
I went because I love the Killers, as everyone knows.
Yeah, I do too.
And they performed Friday night. We had a great time. We had a great night out. For me, there was a reason to go, which was it was 10 years old. I feel like I've been a part of it from the beginning in terms of the founding of it, the initial conversations with Rayhan, who founded it, Tony Hsieh, that whole group. And to see it hit 10 years old was a milestone. And then also some of the people that joined us to watch the Killers were the original investors, friends of Tony, and there was some nostalgia there in terms of who knows what happens to the festival in the future. But to see 25,000 people watching the Killers at a 10-year anniversary may never happen again. Who knows?
Right.
Was something that I wanted to see. So I wanted to be there and support them, and so that's why that was the main reason to be there. And then, of course, the Killers, watching them. They're made for Vegas. They're made for downtown. He sang Viva Las Vegas as he does. He sang all the best songs. Read My Mind, Human, obviously finished with Mr. Brightside. They did a great show. He covered a U2 song, which was funny. He
Really?
did Where the Streets Have No Name.
Huh.
Brandon did,
Wow.
I don't know if it was.
Interesting.
It must have been in tribute to them coming here this week, or
Yeah,
I know
I've heard him
Brandon
do
loves
that.
what we do here. Sorry,
I haven't heard him do that song.
I don't know if
live.
he saw what he did to here and thought, well, he'll honor you too.
Just mix it in a little bit.
Yeah, so
He
that
did The
was-
Man here, right?
He did the Man music
The
video at
song
the Plaza, and
video.
he told me when I met him, he said he loves what's happening at the Plaza. He wanted to do the Man here, and we worked with him on that. Oscar and I are in that video. Oscar and I are playing roulette in that video with him. So it was great to see. But Life is Beautiful has been a very big part of making downtown relevant, bringing the biggest acts like them or not, whether you appreciate the new music or don't. It's definitely skewing younger, the festival.
Yeah.
In terms of talent,
Really.
but except for the Killers and the Yeah Yeah Yeahs, but which were the two acts on Friday. But to the contribution of Life is Beautiful to the success of downtown shouldn't be underestimated, and it never made much money from what I gather. So the fact that they kept it going and did it to help the neighborhood it's the best marketing you can get. Bringing 25,000 people a day to downtown Las Vegas is wonderful.
I was happy to see Rocky Brown, who I've known for years here, was featured, her band.
Okay.
Pure Sport, the punk band that won the contest to play here. A young group of young guys trio got a chance to play here, and they had all the arts companies,
That's cool.
arts productions, Cirque du Soleil and Blue Man Group and Tapeface and Piff the Magic Dragon were
They were there.
all
Yeah.
part of. That's important to draw that distinction. Yeah, and I'm glad that they came out right away and said they were going to be back next year.
They'll be back. I think that just that footprint is the challenge.
Yeah.
That footprint is so hard. As it develops in that neighborhood, it's so hard to keep that footprint intact. But
Every year,
they'll be back.
Yeah. I'm eager to. I'm optimistic for the future. Life is Beautiful for sure.
Yeah.
And speaking on the future, probably the biggest entertainment that Las Vegas will have will be in February when the Super Bowl finally arrives, and they just announced that Usher will be doing the halftime show, which I'm a little disappointed that Taylor Swift is not headlining.
Now, why is Taylor Swift not doing it? If the Chiefs are in the Super Bowl, what a great story that would be.
I feel that Taylor Swift wants to perform the Super Bowl when it's in Nashville.
Okay.
I think that she's waiting for that to be the time.
When is it in Nashville?
Well, it hasn't. It would not. It hasn't been announced. They're building a new stadium there. It's off in the distance, but I think that a part of her game plan is to do it there.
You can answer this question, John. Is Usher big enough to host the halftime?
Oh, yeah.
In Vegas?
Yeah. Usher killed. Well, Usher's a international. He's a recording star who sold a lot of music. First of all, and he has done very well in two separate residencies in two separate venues in Las Vegas. Especially his Dolby Live series has sold out consistently in a very competitive market, and he's a big duet guy. He does a lot of duets, and the Super Bowl loves duets.
A duet.
Well,
I think that's where they're going to...
Justin Timberlake out to sing a song.
I think that's
going to
have to be the move in terms of Usher's big. I agree with you, and worldwide he's big, and he does do well here. I've heard they're great fun. I actually haven't been to his show here, but I've heard people are up and dancing the entire thing.
Yeah, that's true. You walk in, dance.
And his music is great. I mean, his music's fun. I just thought they'd go a little bigger and a little more local, but
I was
could have been U2 for.
Exactly. One of the greatest shows ever was U2. I think that they went with somebody who was sort of like, it's a good call, a solid pick. And one thing about Usher is he's going to put on a spectacle because he has dynamite staging. He has this whole Magic City strip club skate scene that he does. It's unique. I hope they revive that somehow at the Super Bowl because that is wild.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I would like to have seen
NSYNC.
They're back now.
It's
right?
not over me to text Joey Fatone in the days leading to this announcement and ask what the hell's happening here.
Any other rumors you can report on? What are you hearing from Fontainebleau? Any other big entertainment?
I don't
news?
know.
But we've already touched on some of the biggest entertainment news in the world.
I'm excited to see the Fontainebleau Theater, and I'm holding to Post Malone being there to be a resident headliner in that room. I just want them to advance some more details about the design, the concepts, the strategy for that room. Live Nation is their booking partner for an extended period of time.
Okay.
So they know what they're doing. They're the predominant booking company in Las Vegas and in the world. That's one thing I'm very excited to see is that. But I have not seen it yet, so I'm hoping to.
What advice would you give to young journalists or columnists looking to break into the business or into Las Vegas?
Or any
in general?
life advice.
Yeah.
I think to be generally remain ardently curious about everything around you.
Okay.
Don't forget to do that, because often you need to be reminded of that, because especially in a city like Las Vegas, everything seems a little out of the abnormal is normal here. And embrace technology, especially for entry level. Embrace the technology that's out there, the TikTok function and storytelling. That's not just writing, that's visual, it's multidimensional. But it all starts with the written word and the capacity to tell a story. Yeah.
It's funny you say that, because we talked about Tony Hsieh and his legacy to downtown and Life is Beautiful particularly. But one of the things he always used to say was, he didn't say it, stay curious, but it was that concept of, stay humble, because actually when you act like you know everything, you shut the door to so much. And the idea of being humble and being open to new ideas and listening is something that is just great advice to people, because it's easy, especially as you go through life, become more experienced, to close the door on things and to become less curious, because you already know the answer to everything. But actually that's great advice.
You're never that way.
Whether it's day one energy, staying humble, staying curious, it's all the same thing in terms of not becoming closed off to new ideas and inspiration.
Yeah, I'm never going to graduate from wanting to learn things, down here in my own backyard or anywhere else, I'm always learning something.
All right, well, John, thank you so much for being a part of this. We're going to have you back. I mean, obviously, entertainment in this town is evolving, so we hope to have you back here soon to On the Corner of Main Street.
I'm a fan. I'm glad to do it. I'm in the neighborhood, and anytime you want to.
And to stay up to date with John, it's at Johnny Cats on Twitter, or X now?
At Johnny Cats on X, KATS, and at Johnny Cats 1 on Instagram, and then on the RJ website, and in print at your local convenience store.
Well, thank you, John. Perfect. Thank you for your time. See you next time.
You got it.
Are you a fan of On the Corner of Main Street? You're listening, so we'll assume that's a yes. So share the love, rate, review, and tell a friend to subscribe. Also, follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Plaza Pod, on Facebook, Plaza Podcast, and feel free to write to the man himself at Jonathan Jossel. We'll see you next time, right here on the corner of Main Street.